I'd like to have recorded.
Stuart, I would like to ask a question.
Yes.
How would you distinguish between Maya and a real spiritual guidance that you have inside you? Sometimes Maya can be tricky.
Maya can be tricky all the time.
Yeah.
Look, look, there comes a point where the consciousness of a human being arrives, where they can distinguish between what is real and what is just an illusion. That point came to me where it wasn't this or that. It was literally whatever I experienced was an opportunity to get closer to my spiritual enlightenment. Whatever I experienced in life was just my teacher and telling me how I need to work inside myself to continue my inner growth. When I began to see the world that way, the veil of Maya just got eliminated because everything became real. Everything was there to teach me how to get closer to God. Everything was there to help me in my inner work and my growth. Everything was there. So Maya disappeared into reality. And I always believed in my heart of hearts, what gets me closer to God, what helps me to grow, is real. And then I discovered that no matter what I experienced in life, it can be used that way. So, everything, when I was in business, for God's sake, you talk about Maya, I mean, it's the ultimate form of Maya, this whole thing of making money. And at one point I realized, how do I make this real? All right, money is energy. And I can use that energy to help build a situation around myself that'll work to continue my spiritual growth. That's where ashrams came from. That's where meditation centers came from. So what could be the greatest level of Maya, and it truly is, I mean, it sucks everybody's life out of them, became for me just another teacher that, okay, it's energy. Use the energy to serve God. I remember I used to go to basketball games when I lived in Texas, and I would go for the last maybe 8 minutes of the game. And I was always praying it was a close game because the screaming, the yelling, the amount of energy people were getting rid of, I would just sit there and meditate. And that all that energy, which ordinarily would make you deaf and nervous and anxious it just became energy that I was using to help build my inner life. Turning Maya into reality, getting closer to enlightenment. And you can do that with anything. You just have to build an inner life that is strong enough to do it. That you're no longer intimidated by screaming and yelling at a basketball. People cheering and booing and, it's just energy. You're no longer intimidated by the crowds of people on a street. You're no longer intimidated by anything because it's all there to teach you how to continue your inner growth and how to continue your development and how to get closer to spiritual enlightenment. It's also a very good way of getting rid of fear. So I don't distinguish between Maya and what's real. I just allow myself to learn from whatever happens to me. whatever goes on in life.
What if you have some sort of inclination or some sort of a voice that calls you from the inside? How would you know that this is real or something that you shouldn't follow?
Well, just follow it and see where it takes you. Then you'll discover whether it's real or not. I mean, a lot of that comes from what you want in your life, not what you need in your life. When that voice comes from what you really need in your life, you will do the most unbelievable things in order to attain, that level, that, the need to have a spiritual life. You will do things that you would never dream of doing. And all of it is real, and all of it was getting you closer to breaking yourself down, getting free of yourself, breaking down the ego, breaking down, this opinionated thing that goes on inside people that creates so much conflict in the world. Follow the voice, see where it takes you. Don't be afraid of it. The worst thing to do is just be stagnant.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you might discover that voice is real. It might teach you what not to do in the world, which is just as real as learning what to do in your life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, I have a question. Oh, and this one's from Wendy. She said to ask a question for her.
I'm sorry.
Wendy has said to ask a question for her. So my question is, I was listening to Rudy and he was talking about drawing in energy from beyond just the 6 inches of electricity around your body. And I'm wondering how to reach further from a place of centeredness. I find I can reach, but then I'm not really in my core so much.
And the core has to get stronger and bigger. The core has to get deeper, more rooted. It's like a tree. It'll grow endlessly. It's the tree of life. It'll grow endlessly into the cosmos. I mean, the questions are very interesting. How to, and I get back always to the same freaking answer. You understand? You got to build your inner life to get stronger and more developed. How does a great musician become a great musician? Years of working and practicing and building. The music becomes living experience for them by practicing and learning and growing in it. Artists the same way, I mean, even a person that just a business person. I mean, when I was in business, it took me years to learn what I was doing, years. And I said, okay, I'm not there yet. I remember I once bought a sculpture for a couple of $100 and it turned out to be a fake. I put that sculpture on my desk and every morning I would look at it and say, Stuart, this is a reminder to you that when you go out and buy art, you really have to examine it more thoroughly. That sculpture for $200 probably saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it just depends on how you use things. And you develop kind of spiritual smarts, about seeing how to use whatever takes place in your life to build an inner life that gets you strong enough to reach beyond the 6 inches, the aura that surrounds you. I mean, today in my classes, I'm reaching right into the area where, it's really outside of time to draw energy into. That's why these classes have become so strong. But, this is years of working. that enables my system to do something like that. So it gets back to almost the same answer all the time. You know, practice, practice, work on yourself. You build a system to do all these things. How can I do that? Well, trust me, it's possible. It just depends upon how deep you want to go in yourself and how much you want to work on yourself and how free you want to get of yourself so that you can experience these things of a higher nature beyond the 6 inches that surrounds you.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question?
A question, Stuart.
Yes.
Are you aware of like beings that are working with you and
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And like, did you reach a certain point in your development where everything just felt like magic?
No.
No?
No. Look, sitting down to have dinner can be magical, but it's not magic. Being a gourmet cook, which I'm not, can be magical, but it takes, again, years of learning to become a gourmet cook. So, you know, magic is one thing, but in order for things to become magical, for them to become sacred in your eyes, it takes years of learning how to develop and do these things. And I have a lot of respect for that when people do it. And I'm not looking to run a magic show, you know.
I don't mean magic in the sense of like a magician. I just meant in the sense of that life is just this
magical,
unbelievable, glorious thing.
Yes. And I try to explain it. You know, you sit down and have a gourmet meal that somebody makes, and it's an unbelievable, glorious thing. And your taste buds explode. But the person who made that meal had years of experience to put together the right ingredients, to cook it right, the seasonings of it, to make that magical. These classes that are pretty magical are a product of years of me working on myself, years. I mean, I hope you understand that. It doesn't just happen. I mean, yeah, wonderful things happen. I mean, all the time to me. I mean, they're just things that blow my socks away, you know, that are so incredible, that happen all the time. And I don't try to make them happen, they just happen. But it's also the growth that enables to attract that. I mean, one also attracts negative things. But those negative things are also teachers. How do I transform that into my spiritual life?
So would you say that the more positive things that are happening is a reflection of our positive consciousness changing?
It's a reflection of your positive consciousness. It's a reflection of you having built an inner life that is strong enough to attract things of that nature. I always tell people, when you look out at the world, you see a mirror image of yourself. And I always used to kid around saying, look, if you have a pimple on your face, you don't put the salve on the mirror. You got to go to where the problem is. And life is a mirror of each and every one of us. And we have to go internalize our energy and go to where the problem is and transform it. That's how you fix the mirror image. And then it becomes more and more magical. You learn how to do this. And you learn how to change the inner life so the reflection of you becomes different in the world. And things get magical. Look, Walt Whitman used to lean and loaf and look at a leaf, the magical name. I mean, there was some painter, a Zen Chinese painter who used to paint peaches, and they were extraordinary, extraordinary. Works of art, just a line, with some color in there, and it was genius. Great Zen painters would make a line, but, and my God, it was wonderment. And you say, well, that line is a product of 30 years of him working on himself to get to the place where he could do that. I mean, I once had a painting, I'll never forget that painting. It was a staff. It was by a very famous Zen monk from the late 19th century. And it was a staff. And then there was calligraphy. Those that are on the path get hit with the staff, and those that are not on the path get hit with the staff. I mean, it's like genius. And it was just a staff, just a black line. But that kind of simplicity, one has to truly develop the capacity to be free of themselves in order to attain that level of simplicity, that level of magical expression.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, then there'll be a meditation on Sunday. Once again, there are people coming here for in-person classes, and any of you that get a hankering to do that, you're welcome. Just let me know. Don't just show up. You have to be vaccinated. That's all I ask. And the classes are pretty powerful. I mean, I am really growing. I tell you, it's just amazing what's taking place. So, you're all welcome, but let me know that you want to come, and people are coming from different parts of the country. And I'm very grateful for this, as well as I'm very grateful to sit here and do this with all of you. I think it's an amazing opportunity for me to grow, for you to grow. And I don't feel like I'm even a teacher. I'm here to learn. And all of you are making it possible for me to continue to learn and grow. And I have just deep and profound gratitude to every one of you for being here. So God bless you all, and thank you. And hopefully I will see everybody on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Good night.